Hey everybody, it's the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
Yes.
With a mouthful of bagel at the Trident Cafe.
I should have looked up before.
That's all right.
We're at the Trident Cafe on Newbury Street in downtown Boston, and we've just come from a screening of Iron Man 2. Robert Downey Jr., Jon Favreau directed and kind of co-starred in.
Yeah, he has his moments as happy. Is it happy?
I think so.
Yeah. So what do you think overall?
I digged it. That's my quote.
It'll be on the poster.
That's my pull quote.
I like it. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
But that's what I expected. I didn't expect to love it. I think the first one was so different, and you know, this picks up nicely where the first one left off. I just think it got a little too busy. Too many characters.
I would agree with you on that. It gets crazy. Well, you know, it's one of those crazy action things. It's just like the action is so crazy and in a way, you know, sparkly and spectacular that I'm entranced, and I think to myself, oh, geez, I've forgotten that the story kind of lulled. You know, there was sort of a major lull like 3/4 of the way through the movie. But
and it's not even the action. You know, I mean, because he's Tony Stark and he's got all this high-tech gadgetry. Even when he, you know, I was just staring at his computers. You know, he's got computers that float in midair and all this high-tech stuff. And if
always fascinating.
If half of it's real, then you know I'm older than I think. Do you think any of that shit's real?
What?
Is any of that stuff real? Any of that high-tech, you know?
If it's not in any universe I'm familiar with, we're having water served to us here.
But anyway,
necessity at this point.
When yeah, you know, the action does get kind of crazy, and the high-tech stuff works. But again, like the first one, there's good characters, there's good performances here. Robert Downey Jr. is still, you know, a kick-ass as Tony Stark.
He's terrific. I mean, I just think he has such a presence and a way of delivering lines and such a naturalness about him that I think the audience is so comfortable with like just every nuance of Robert Downey Jr.
Well,
you know,
thank you.
Say just any little thing and he's funny.
Well, there was one line where he's what was he doing? Oh, when he first puts on the, you know, his one of the plot things is that the fake mechanized heart that's keeping him alive is also killing him because there's poison in his blood. And without giving too much away, he finds a way to fix that. And when he turns on the new heart, you know, it's just giving him more power than he's ever had. And it's to Downey's credit, you know, where he just, it sounds like a throwaway line, but he says, it tastes like coconut. You know, it's just one of these little funny things that he does that makes the character work. You know, because in the comic books, Tony Stark's not a funny guy. You know, he's an alcoholic arms dealer. You know, at least he's got humor to him. So, yeah, so he really saves the movie, I think.
He has a great, you know, a terrific sense of humor, this movie does, and I think so much to its benefit that if this humor didn't strike at the right time, it would have taken the whole movie down a notch, and it really helps Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow come across as something, you know.
I thought she was one of the weak points in the movie, to be honest.
Well, I think so. I was thinking that.
Lovely to look at.
She had this redeeming action sequence in a way.
Oh,
I just didn't think it was going to work. I thought it was kind of absurd all the way up until. I thought her character was kind of absurd all the way up until that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And she almost looks like Jessica Rabbit. You know, like she's pneumatic. She's just pumping and gyrating as she walks, and part of it is that her and Gwyneth Paltrow wear like 8-inch heels in this thing. But is there something almost cartoonishly sexy about her body? Which, of course, is fine with me.
Everything when she's on screen.
Yeah. But then you take someone like Gwyneth Paltrow, who gives the movie heart and soul as Pepper Potts. You know, she's got I think it's a bigger role this time than the last one. And you know, I think it's funny because I'm not a big fan of hers, but I think it's the best work she does is in the Iron Man movies.
She's good. She is good.
What do you think of having Mickey Rourke as the bad guy, Whiplash? Or I should say one of the bad guys, because One of the things this movie has is too many bad guys, too many characters, too much going on in 2 hours. But what do you think of Mickey Rourke?
I liked him. Enjoyable. He has a gruffness about him that comes across. He was a convincing Russian dude, bad guy.
Yeah.
Certainly is. I think his character was written in such a way that it was just one of these stock bad guy characters who spends years sitting in front of his collected newspaper clippings, brooding over his
plotting his revenge on Tony Stark.
Yeah, plotting his revenge,
Which is
what he does, and he builds a
giant electric bullwhip.
Yeah, a giant electric bullwhip, from some sort of semblance of what was a remnant of the Iron Man project in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to fabricate a generator on his own, and
and there's also Sam Rockwell, who plays like a rival arms dealer, but a really bad rival arms dealer. Everything he touches falls apart. He's just like jealous of Tony, but
in a way, he's like a warped version of Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
They have a scene wherein they're both sort of playing off each other, and you can see that they sort of have the same mannerisms, but they're two different versions of
in the bar at Monaco.
Tony Stark, and then there's this Tony Stark wannabe. Excuse me, Sam Rockwell, Justin Hammer Industries, CEO.
And while we're on the subject of just the characters, shout out to Gary Shandling.
Yeah.
Comedian Gary Shandling, who plays a senator. And it's just such a perfect slimeball senator that
excuse me. Can I get another water? Can I get another water?
Of course, the wings are killing him.
My mouth is burning for Iron Man.
Don't edit that out. That might be on the poster. So, and there's also Don Cheadle. I mean, we should just have a list of who's not in this movie. I think we'd save some time.
Don Cheadle. You know who's always great is Clark Gregg.
Who?
The SHIELD government rap guy.
Right, he was in the first one, right?
Yeah, he's great at playing these like government official guys.
Oh, and there's Samuel L. Jackson in this movie. So it needed to be longer than 2 hours, although they filled up the 2 hours pretty much, just to introduce all these different characters.
Yeah, this was like I think this another incredible piece of work by Jon Favreau. I've interviewed him a couple times. He is a articulate, smart guy, and is able to handle a lot of things under some pretty pressured circumstances, and create some fantastic stuff. And I'm just amazed that he is able to do something like this. This guy that started with Swingers and
well, he's just an actor in Swingers, right?
Yeah, but his career has grown. He's taken on more responsibilities with each of his films, and they've gotten seemingly better, except for Couples Retreat.
No, he didn't direct that, though. That was Peter
that
Billings.
Was Peter, but he was involved. So
yeah, he was very involved.
Take credit for that.
Or blame.
Blame
for that.
Yeah. So can't magically erase that from the resume. But I mean, this is a full-blown major production, and it's really a tightly paced for the most part. Although I thought it did drag 3/4 of the way through it, and that was because it took such a long time to see. There's a couple of things. First, I thought it took a long time for us to get to see Scarlett Johansson's character, which she does, and I found myself anticipating that. There's a fair amount of the film where you really don't see Iron Man for great amounts of film, and as if I were a film executive, I'd be like, okay, so where's
more Iron Man?
Yeah, where's the more Iron Man? So it does take a while for the Iron Man to be introduced from the start of the film, and then there's a large gap where he actually really isn't, in the film.
Yeah.
But all that gets taken care of. It's just
by the end there's so many iron robots.
As an audience, you have this sort of expectation, and the filmmaker has to kind of, play into that. You got to deliver Iron Man. You got to deliver Iron Man.
And they had to make sure they put every AC/DC song ever recorded in the soundtrack. Which is okay, but it's kind of there's other bands out there.
Yeah, there was a lot of music copywriting going on here.
Yeah,
and it was basically the Iron Man War Machine disco scene.
Yep, it was.
Which at the start pad, which was actually pretty good. But you know what?
Play a beat so I can.
It just reminded me of like going back to Blade, or God, what was the second Blade film, where basically these fight sequences were just edited to music.
Right, right.
So you've got Daft Punk playing behind. There's some mixed version of it playing behind War Machine and Iron Man going at it, and it's cool and everything, but it's basically done to the end.
Right, right.
Where it's just, that's what it is. It's the rock and roll fight.
Right.
Or it's the, in this case, robot rock fight. Something like that. Anyway.
I do want to also mention that I think this Iron Man, or this Marvel movie has one of the better Stan Lee appearances.
Okay.
I didn't see him.
That was amazing.
When
we can't give it away.
We'll tell you off camera.
Okay.
But I think that's an endearing thing about the Marvel movies, is always finding a place for Stan. To just in passing, you're waiting for the camera. It's almost like Hitchcock, you're just waiting for that camera to pass by.
I am tenderly eating these very hot tenders, and it's burning my throat. Oh God.
I'm sitting there.
You're not seeing me do this.
Yeah, you can't see, because this is only a podcast. You can't see the pain Steve has on his face as he tries to eat. I must say my bagel was
I'm alive.
room temperature and fine.
All right, you were saying.
No, just that I like the way they weaved Stan Lee into the production. It was a nice little tip of the hat, nice little moment.
Now, what did you think of the setup? Here we have Sam Rockwell's character, who's playing owner of a private company that wants to do what Tony Stark, Stark Industries does.
Yeah.
But better. He wants Iron Man, but nobody's going to get Iron Man because nobody else is at that level of technology yet.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Stark figures, 10 years for everyone else, 20 years for Hammer Industries.
Right.
So, Sam Rockwell wants to do it right now. He witnesses Ivan Vanko,
Whiplash.
Whiplash, Mickey Rourke, in Monaco, tear apart Iron Man during a Grand Prix, basically whipping these, slashing these race cars in half.
Good action
Makes
scene.
it a pretty cool scene. And so Rockwell with all his, Hammer with all of his, fantastic wealth, uses that to get Whiplash off of his death sentence in prison, and bring him to Manhattan to help him turn his Hammer into the Iron Man company.
Yeah, the new Tony Stark.
A number of these robots. So obviously he realizes that it probably wasn't the best of ideas, but he did get these robots, operational. So that Whiplash's vindictiveness, obviously.
That was pretty.
The best of them, and have a scenario that is just sort of building to a confrontation between all of these robots and
Iron Man and Warbird.
War Machine.
War Machine.
Don Cheadle.
I thought it was fine. I think it was a little too ambitious a plot for them to, because that's just, on top of all that, they add the Tony's dying because he's being poisoned.
Oh, right. That was
and
a
they
very
add
important plot element. It actually involves
Scarlett Johansson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Right. And Sam Jack's coming in as Nick Fury. So it was ambitious. I don't think I think they could have trimmed it down a bit and been fine. I wasn't real keen on Rockwell. He was okay, but he acted like he did in Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, there was
he's dancing around and being goofy and
That's a good point. He's one of these bad guys that, like, maybe this is the modern bad guy, where he has all these little funny tics about him, where he has all these quippy little things he says to people that set people at ease with him. So he's a bad guy. A bad guy with a sense of humor. For example, that scene with him trying to sell the individual weapons to Don Cheadle's character, War Machine. going over all the descriptions of the guns from each of these countries, and it's a terrific scene. But it doesn't exactly make you fear.
No.
Yeah. See, just like in The Losers with Jason Patrick. Jason Patrick's character, I forget his name, being so funny, doesn't exactly make you fear him. It makes you think he's weird, maybe a little uncomfortable. You don't fear him. You don't really fear Sam Rockwell in this movie. There's maybe one scene where you feel like he's going to go off and actually kill somebody.
Right. See, now I have the exact opposite reaction with that scene where he's describing all the armament and being funny about it. Pulled me right out. I was like, this doesn't fit at all. I didn't think it sounded right coming out of his mouth. I didn't think it fit anything he'd done up till then. It was just kind of like annoying.
So I think the point here is, if you're going to be a bad guy, you have to freaking be bad.
Or
You can't be this amusing.
Well, I didn't think he was amusing. That's the whole thing. I don't mind. I just didn't. It didn't work for me. I was like, it sounded so phony coming out of him.
But I think he was just spouting these witty things that were written by the writer.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Across like you're saying, funny things that were written by someone else.
Yeah, it felt like he was reading the script. So
it's going to make everybody look like. Yeah.
But before I could get too worried about it, Scarlett Johansson walks by and I'm totally distracted and I didn't care anymore.
Visually mesmerized, enchanted by Black Widow.
Yeah.
But I think it took too long to introduce her character, and I found myself feeling the same way I did when I was watching Star Trek. It took too long to introduce Scotty. Here I wanted to see Black Widow do her thing, and it doesn't happen for the longest time. So, that was going to be a disappointment. But I have to say, every scene with Iron Man always cool because he is just a visual treat to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's freaking awesome. I think the real stars of this movie are the special effects guys.
Oh God, yeah.
This is terrific CGI. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty flawless.
Wow.
It's really loud in here.
Yeah, it's getting pretty loud. Do you think it's
I think it's fine.
Okay. I was thinking it was getting loud in the sense that I was having trouble hearing you.
Right, so was I. Anyway, can I have a soda stick?
Yeah, go for it. We have some visitors at the next table that come in and got a little boisterous.
Right. Kids. These kids. Don't worry, he's got another piece of hot chicken in his mouth.
No, but this is, I dig this movie.
Yep. I think
just as much as I dig the first one.
I didn't like it as much as the first, but I still think it's going to make a ton of money. There'll be a third one. There'll be an Avengers movie or whatever. Stay to the very end after the credits and catch a little surprise at the end.
Important. There is a coda after the credits, so don't get up. Sit tight. So none of us were surprised to see that. Because you know what? The first time they screened Iron Man, the original Iron Man, it was like a year and a half.
They didn't have it.
Right. Paramount or Jon Favreau, I forget. I think it was Favreau. He specifically directed that there be no coda on the version of the movie that they screened before they released it.
For the press.
version of the movie that they screened for the press, they would have no coda. So this would be a straight up surprise when they saw Nick Fury be the original Iron Man.
Right.
This time, they weren't even thinking that there would be a coda. But there was, and they did have it on
my friend Jesse knew there was one, and we were sitting there waiting for it. But the same thing. I saw a guy in the press row in front of me post it as soon as it happened.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I don't know if he posted it or was sending an email to a friend, but the secret, whatever the secret is,
well, we
out.
won't say what it is about, but
No, go see it.
People were. There was a cheer did go up. It's one of those little things that Jon Favreau threw in there to,
It ties it together with the Marvel film universe in a nice way too.
There's actually very little of that, Marvel geeky things in this. I mean, there's you get whenever they reference another character of the Marvel universe, it happens a couple of times.
Yeah, there's one that's pretty funny.
There's one that's pretty funny.
Leave it for the geeks.
I think they're doing a very good job of introducing the whole Marvel universe. So they're not just pushing it out there really fast and making people's heads spin. They look like they're really planning a big push sometime in the future where they'll be able to put out multiple Marvel movies in the same year.
They will. And everybody, this is Paul Eisen, our producer, recordist, jump on that.
I think a lot of it's almost like product testing too. It's like, oh, if we put out, Ant-Man in this one, just a hint of Ant-Man, will people respond to it? And then should we make an Ant-Man movie?
This is something Edgar Wright's been wanting to do for a while.
Ant-Man?
Yes.
A shitty comic. It was. The guy who put on a football helmet and talked to ants. Who cares? And he married a wasp woman.
I interviewed him for Scoop Magazine. They said this was one of the projects he was doing.
Ant-Man.
Yep. Yeah. And he's got another. Well, of course, there's Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and then there's another. God, I forget the name of it.
He's a good director. I would check it out, but ants. Go figure. So are we done with Iron Man?
I would pay $10. I actually would really like to see this in IMAX too.
Yeah, and it was
cool.
It was supposed to be shown to us, but
yeah, we got
the screen isn't ready at the Boston Commons Theater yet.
I can't
as of when Tuesday night.
It's amazing to me. They're going to actually at Boston Common Theater, which is the big theater in downtown Boston, which is like 19 screens, and it's a terrific theater. There's Theater 1 is huge, and they're in the process or have just converted it into an IMAX screen.
Right.
So they haven't made the theater any bigger. Of course, they've just made the screen.
I don't know what they've done, but they sent out a press release saying there would be a screening on IMAX for us on Thursday night,
right.
And then I talked to the woman who was organizing it, and she told me it was canceled like 20 minutes later. So,
bummer.
Anyway, yeah, I probably will pay to see this again. So, but now I'm going to turn the
Iron Man, the original again. But I'm so jazzed on Iron Man right now. It's great.
Well, I think we're about to ruin this mood. Steve's going to take it solo for a bit. He saw an interesting movie this afternoon while I was doing something else, and I'm just going to sit back.
God.
Where
do I begin?
The thing is, I have a DVD of the Human Centipede at home, and I'm supposed to watch it, but I'm going to wait until I hear what Steve has to say because I don't have to watch it. How was it, Steve?
Wow. Man, this was like, you know how like it's like a filmic version of a circus sideshow, a freak show. I mean, that's the attraction. You know you're going to get the Human Centipede. It's like, start right up, everybody come on, trick us,
So they do make a centipede.
This guy, Dr. Hater, played by Dr. Hater, H-E-I-T-E-R, played by Dieter Leza, who had previously starred in a few episodes of Wax, and starred in another movie, which I think we're going to have to, whatever. In 2001, he starred in a movie called Suck on Dick. Anyway, he is this. Well, let me set up the movie this way. It's a standard like horror movie or scary story style where a couple of people, in this case, because it's a horror movie, hot models, are on their way to a club. They're in Germany or somewhere thereabouts. Their car breaks down. They have a flat tire.
No way.
Neither of them know how to change a flat tire.
They're models.
They have all the equipment in the car, but they're not going to change this flat tire. So, flat tire, no cell phone reception. They're not going to walk too far. They don't want to because they have high heels. And there's no way. Anyway, they decide to walk through the woods. They're going to walk through the woods for an hour instead of attempting to change the flat tire.
Sounds like Supermodel so far.
And they stumble upon this very modern house in the middle of the woods and knock on the door. And the freakiest looking guy answers the door, and of course
Dr. Hater?
Yeah, Dr. Hater. Yeah, sure, we'll come in. And turns out Dr. Hater...
I can't get Jehovah's Witnesses to come in my apartment. This freaky doctor gets, hot models to come in.
He answers the door and this creepy smile on his face, and it's just like, the flies have just come into the spider web. It's like his gift, And he's a surgeon who specialized in separating Siamese twins. I think until his colleagues discovered that he was freaky nuts and barred him from being able to do that. So he used his ability after being barred to figure out how to put people back together the way he wanted them. centipedes back together, or animals back together.
Right.
You know, he, in this case, he wants to design a being, a person, 3 people, that would be able to live off one intestine or series of organs that would basically interconnect with each other. And he calls it the human centipede. And he'd already tried this on animals. That didn't work. Right. But he was out to try and create a human centipede. So when these 2 girls, fall into his doorstep in the middle of the night,
hot damn.
He basically it's like this gift of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna, drug them, and he uses the date rape drug to, paralyze them, and then keep them as prisoners in his basement, which is like a sterilized operating room facility. And there's another guy down there, and he's going to try to, he's going to orient them to what is going to be happening to them, which is basically how he's going to turn these 2 people into a human centipede. Just
disgusting.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. It is lame. It is ridiculous. It is bad. And he gives him the whole how-to about how, I don't even want to describe it, because it's basically just gross. And I think that the ad campaign saying that people were leaving the theater because they were so grossed out, it's not a matter of being like just freaking grossed out. It's like being appalled. I'm not scared. It's just fucking gross.
Yeah.
Well, the tension comes from the fact that, is this guy going to be found? There's a couple of German private investigators who said that, there's been a couple of vehicles, that have been abandoned. People are missing. And this Dr. Hader guy, whenever he needed to test somebody to see if they were the right blood type, he'd get his tranq gun and go out and shoot somebody out in the woods and some unsuspecting driver and bring him back to the house and imprison them. But anyway, so the movie gets to the point where he does actually create this human centipede, and it's done by
sewing people
the front someone's
mouth
face onto someone's butt. And
so it's mouth to anus.
Yeah, basically.
Well, if you're gonna give one intestinal tract, that would
And
I do.
The whole process of what you think would happen had something like this been done actually happens. I mean, how do you think the middle person survived? It's just that freaking gross. So it's just basically, it's like torture porn. Because the 2 ladies are hot. Another fellow that Dr. Hader captures is this Japanese fellow, and as we see them trapped downstairs, and he does tests on them, he also tries to figure out who's going to be in the front, who's going to be in the middle, who gets to be on the end. How is this alignment going to survive? It's just freaking ridiculous, gross. It as a midnight movie, and it is going to be playing at Village Corner this Friday and Saturday, the 7th and 8th, May 7th, at midnight. And that, I think, it is what it is for a midnight movie. There's going to be this kind of draw, and people are probably going to be like, holy shit, I can't believe I just saw that. Oh, and by the way, it's not just called the Human Centipede. It's called the Human Centipede, the first segment.
The first segment. So luckily there's going to be
Oh, I'm sorry. The first sequence. There's going to be a sequence. Yeah, it's the Human Centipede, the first sequence.
Well, there's only 3 people, and the centipede's about 100. So they've got 90.
Small cast. There's like less than 10 people in the cast.
But I mean, to make an actual centipede, you need 100 legs, and you've only got 6 here. So
yeah, he starts with 3.
And
he tries to, you need more people.
I'm feeling a little bagel backup just listening to you describe it. So why don't we just move on? I'm not going to pay to see this.
It's not. This is what you need to know. It's not scary.
Right.
It's gross. And the only thing that there really is drawn from this is the tension that comes from whether or not he's going to be caught by the 2 private investigators. And we, as the viewers, have a lot of empathy for the 3 people that are being tortured like this. It's quite visually you feel their pain. You don't really feel scared. Basically.
Right, just sick.
There's a couple of times where basically you think maybe they're going to get out of the house, and there's like some running around, and the guy is chasing them. He appears in sort of these horror-like demonic moments at the end of the hall, sort of like a Jason and Halloween, what am I talking about? Jason and Halloween.
Jason the Friday the 13th?
Michael Myers and Halloween.
Okay.
But it's not scary.
Yeah.
It's a sideshow.
I have the option of seeing it and reviewing it or not. And it sounds like it'd be a waste of my time to watch it or review it.
You should. I think.
No.
You should see it for me.
No. No. I find that, and coming from me, this is a lot. I find nothing amusement in that kind of torture.
Strangely enough, I mean, for as many films as we've seen, this was different.
Yeah.
This was like messed up, and
No.
More messed up in that movie about the guy. You wouldn't have. You saw that one, not him. The guy.
Taxidermist?
Taxidermist.
No, Taxidermist was awesome.
Devin Ferrantz.
I
gotta tell you, he calls this a masterpiece of perverse originality.
Yeah, they said that stuff about Hostel and all that other crap.
I just don't know if this is horror.
It's not.
It's one of these. It's torture porn.
Yeah, I don't need to see that. I stopped watching the Hostel movies. I stopped watching the Saw movies because they're just torture porn. I don't need to do that. So I'm going to pass on this one completely. But I do want to say one thing about taxidermy, since you did bring it up. Remember when we talked to Amber from Drones? Amber, what's her name? Amber Benson from Drones.
Have you been drinking?
No.
Okay.
I actually gave her my copy of Taxidermia to watch. She was talking about how she wanted to do a horror movie, and I was like, oh, I saw this movie. And I brought it in the next day. I was like, you should watch this. She goes, why? I go, because it'll change your life.
Okay.
She said she's going to send it back to me. If it comes back, burned or, with a court order, restraining order, I'll let you know.
I trust her. I actually, after the interview later that night, there was the party at the Liberty Hotel. And she had been trying to get my attention at the party and waving across. Like when you're at a party thing and people try to, talk to you or whatever.
Never happens.
Apparently I was coming off as ignoring her. I'm like,
really?
Yeah, I could never have done that. John was just referring to our conversation with Amber Benson, the director of Drones, which showed at the Independent Film Festival of Boston. Terrific film. We interviewed Amber. She was a guest on the show. We haven't posted the audio yet, but we will. Probably after our Iron Man review, so look forward to that next. And went really well. It was cool.
Well, yeah, she was a great interview. And the thing
on the show
during the interview, she mentions. Well, I brought up the fact that she was in a movie called One-Eyed Monster with Ron Jeremy. And it's a sci-fi movie about aliens taking possession of Ron Jeremy's.
And she didn't try to disown anything.
No, she said it was a funny script, and I rented it. I've seen it. It's fucking terrible. It is. It's Ron Jeremy's in it for like 2 minutes, and then the aliens attack him, and his penis jumps off his body and proceeds to kill people in various ways, like drilling a hole through their head, or it's absurd. But she was pretty good. She actually had sex with the disembodied penis. Yeah, that's not a spoiler, because no one's going to see it but me.
Wow.
I think it was one of those young movies, like, it could have been funny. Maybe it was funny on the page. Parts of it were funny.
From sex with a disembodied penis, let's move on to DVDs. Crazy Heart, which I watched again and freaking digged. Loved this movie. It's I wanted to mention this like more than a week ago, but we were so like into just doing coverage for the Boston Independent Film Fest that I didn't get a chance to talk about. But Crazy Art, definitely worth picking up on DVD. It's got the extras, deleted scenes, alternate music cuts, music video. It's good stuff. And Jeff Bridges' performance, I mean, I just love the mood of this movie.
Yeah.
And I've always loved Maggie Gyllenhaal. So, for me it really worked. Of course, if you get the Blu-ray, you get all the extra stuff.
Maggie Gyllenhaal's naked on the Blu-ray. That's what I hear. Drive-up sales.
Buy a Blu-ray machine.
Yeah, I gotta get this. I gotta get this now.
Man.
Or maybe it's Jeff Bridges who's naked. I should read the back of the package.
That would be Starman.
Ah, yes, that would be Starman.
Which we'll be showing in summertime.
Yeah, they're having a Jeff Bridges salute.
Is that happening now?
Thunderbolt. I don't know. I know they're showing Thunderbolt and Lightfoot and Fat City and a bunch of really good Jeff Bridges movies. For my DVD recommendation.
I want to tell you, man, I'm surprised. Did he get an Oscar nomination in 1971 for Thunderbolt and Lightfoot?
I think he did. I think he did.
Damn, man.
I saw this DVD called Severe Clear. It's the worst title you can imagine, but it's an excellent movie. It's this guy named Michael Scotty, who was part of the Marine invasion from Baghdad in 2003, and he actually. It's pretty interesting because he had his video camera through the whole thing, and so he filmed the 500-mile march from where they landed to Baghdad, and then they took footage from other people, so they had like 60 hours of footage. He went to NYU, the film school, was kind of wandering through the halls asking people, hey, do you know anyone who can edit movies, know anyone who can direct? He found this guy, and I'll get his name in a sec. He found this director named Christian Fraga, Fraga. Looked at a little of the footage, said, hey, that's pretty cool, and they made this amazing documentary about, and you know how I hate the cell phone movies?
Yeah.
A lot of this is cell phone quality.
Anything considered mumblecore?
No, it's the action's intense. And the thing is, I've seen enough war movies, but when you watch a war movie and if someone gets shot, you're like, oh, the stunt guy, or that looked real. There are people really killed in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like firing on insurgents, or there's a scene where they're talking about a car that wouldn't stop at a roadblock, and they open fire on it, and it's a man and his young daughter, and the daughter's killed. And
didn't mean they showed us?
They show the aftermath, not the actual gunfire, but the aftermath will haunt you. It's a fabulous movie. I interviewed the guy today. I did a phone with him today. I just wanted to talk to this guy. Just a great movie. Great movie. It really gave a sense of what it's like to be in war, more than anything else I've seen about, almost anything else I've seen about war, because here's a guy who was just there filming it. No, he was only trying to keep a video diary because he wanted to write a book. And so he was just using these videos to keep notes. But fabulous stuff. Really powerful movie.
Taking on the water.
Highly recommend it.
Just had the another water. Thanks. I was just trying to explain. Buffalo wing is burning my
It's okay. So anyway, I would highly recommend that. I'll pass it on to you guys. Really good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, that really that connected with me. I'm intrigued. Is there somewhere online you can see a trailer or something?
According to the press release, there's a special preview, full-length preview of the DVD on deepdiscount.com. I don't know if you have to pay for it or not, but it's on the IMDb. You can find out material about it. Well, you got to buy it on Deep Discount, but check it out. It's definitely worth checking out. You have a second recommendation, Steve?
Well, I wanted to talk about Make Out with Violence, but you haven't seen it. I think this is a movie you really should see.
Is it going to hit theaters?
Save it for our next show.
Okay.
So Make Out with Violence. It played the festival circuit over the past year. It's basically, I'll just do the thing quickly.
Do the spoiler.
The spoiler. It's about a high school crush. Except this girl, she is killed.
No spoiler there, right? Did she die at the beginning? Wait, what?
She's already dead at the beginning.
She becomes a zombie?
She is a zombie. But the good news is that the geek that was in love with her gets to be with her all the time because
as she rots away being a zombie? Wow. Sounds touching.
Make Out with Violence, filmed by the and it's a really, as far as low budget production goes, it's a slick film.
All right.
So I wanted to watch it again and get a copy to be honest, we can talk about it.
Okay. And excuse me, my final recommendation is Hong Kong Godfather. It's a Shaw Brother kung fu movie. What do you call him? Chop Socky movie. It's this 1985 movie about the Chinese mafia fighting over the plot. Doesn't matter. What is cool about this, and I was thinking I was watching it. If this movie was made today, with the effects we have today, it would have to go out unrated because it's super, super violent. But the thing is, in 1985, they didn't have, at least on the Shaw Brothers films, they didn't have much more than red paint. So every time someone gets shot or cut or stabbed, red paint sprays out. It looks like red paint. It's like poster color red paint. By the final battle, there's nothing but red. These people are rolling around in red paint. It's hilarious. But it's just this weird action movie from the 80s, Hong Kong action movie. And a lot of people, I'm a big fan of this kind of stuff. And I saw this one, I was like, oh man. Because a lot of the kung fu movies are just that. They're like set in ancient times, and it's like, the emperor needs us, and they do formal fights. And this is modern day, or 1985 modern day, and it's mainly guys with machetes and machine guns, and just there's the old Godfather everyone wants out of the way, and his lieutenant's double crossing him with another gang, and then everyone just shoots each other for 2 hours. And it's just insane action. The fights, the gunfights, the fist fights, hugely entertaining. So, sit down, get it, bring the kids in, say, kids, this is what violence was like, 35 years ago? 85, so 25 years ago. Yikes.
Man, you know what we also saw?
No.
Micmacs. Closing film.
Oh yeah.
Of the Film Festival of Austin. I'm trying, we do this recording, we do these shows without, 90% of the time we're not sitting in front of a computer, so we just have to go by our God-given ability to be able to recall names. So
yeah, I wish we could do better than that.
I'm thinking okay, so now who is the director of Micmacs? And the only thing I can think of is he's the guy of the City of Lost Children and Family, and I think Alien Resurrection.
Yep.
And this was like
Jean-Pierre something.
This is it's like a hyper movie. I mean, the production design is incredible, but it's like so hyper. I mean, the mood is just like everything's just like taken up. But everybody, it has a release date set for. I think it's coming out in late May by Sony Classics has it.
I think it was either late May or early June.
You know what? June. I think you're right. Yeah, but the story is that this film, Micmacs, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
I'm not helping you.
Okay. It was a last minute, literally like a last second replacement the day before for the original closing of the film, which was James Franco's Saturday Night, and the crew that runs the Independent Festival pulled off a magic trick. They were able to. They had received word that they were not allowed to show that closing night film, which had already been set, and tickets were purchased, and for whatever reason, the studio asked them to pull it, so couldn't show Saturday night. So they had to
I think asked was being kind. They were told they couldn't show it.
Yeah, totally. So I guess within 24 hours or so, they had to come up with a new closing night film, and so they called in their big guns to help them out. They spoke to Ted Hope, that's what Adam said, and a couple of other people, and they were able to arrange to get Micmacs as the closing film for the festival, and it was a success. The theater was packed, it was rowdy, fun, seemed like a really As Brian Tam called it, it seemed like as far as a closing night film goes, it was an upgrade.
Yeah.
I'm major.
Anyway, hopefully we'll talk more about that movie and
In June.
it was a good way to close. Yes, we'll talk more about it in June. It was a good way to close the festival. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Speaking of closings, anything else?
I can't think of anything else.
Finish your hot
other than
tenders.
also, guess what else comes out on DVD?
Oh, what?
Some 3D thing with blue people.
You know,
It's like,
yes, Avatar. So I get the DVD. I don't even get the Blu-ray. I get shit the DVD. My brother's psyched. He's like, I got to see what this is all about. We made it to the 1 hour mark, and I look at him, and he's sitting there all pissed off. And I was like, what? He goes, what's the big deal with this fucking movie? And I was like, nothing.
it is
There's
fundamentally
nothing.
flawed.
Oh my God, yeah. And you know, when you take away all the hoopla of the 3D effects and you're just watching it on your regular old TV, it's fucking stupid. And it's like, oh my God, will they stop?
I agree with you. It was, building a road on top of a road on top of a road, building more buildings on top of something that was, the infrastructure was pretty weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made taxidermy look like art.
I was thinking as we were watching Iron Man 2 that, damn man, so much better. So much better. But who really cares in the sense of business? Because damn, it made what? $1
Billion.
billion. So try explaining to James Cameron that his movie is fundamentally flawed.
I would if he was here. I'd take him to task. But, I talked to a woman the other day whose daughter has seen Avatar 8 times in the theater. 8 times. I was like, that's 24 hours of your life gone. You're young, but you're going to regret wasting that day when you get to be my age. So anyway, I hate to leave people on the end on a note of Avatar.
We've been Avatared.
Yeah.
Over.
Let's find out.
For the Post Movie Podcast, this is Steve Head.
And this is John Black.
And you can visit us at post-movie.net or send us an email at postmoviepodcast@gmail.com to let us know, if you agree with us or disagree with us. We'd love to hear from you. So until next week, adios.